I think IoT is probably one of the most inappropriately named pieces of technology that exists, right? Because it's really talking about what it is, but not necessarily what it does.
Listen, we've been speaking over the last few months around organisation and our customers' transformation. What's your take on the cloud evolution in support of that aim?
I think when cloud first emerged as a term, an extension of your data centre or a place to replace your data centre with, and I think that has evolved substantially from being just another place to being really a set of new capabilities that can be switched on rapidly. And so it's not necessarily a mutually exclusive thing where you have to be moving there or you have to have one or the other. It's actually a case of looking at what cloud brings to an organisation and what they're trying to achieve.
Do you see differences in the different other types of organisations or sectors you engage with? Do you see any interesting trends in one or other or not?
It's interesting, like you might look at what's happening in retail and the way that they're connecting their operations both in a physical sense but also in an online manner, and then extending that to other industries such as even manufacturing. And so we see some large manufacturers now taking an approach to the way that they manufacture their products, which is actually derived from that sort of software mindset.
Take automotive for an example. Many automotive organisations now have more software engineers than mechanical engineers, and they're moving toward mobility services rather than that core manufacturing heritage that they've had.
If you look at the way that cars are generally marketed, the way that they're sold, quite often they're sold to a driver. But if you are no longer driving the vehicle, what is the market? What are you now selling? What type of experience do people actually want to get out of that? And so what is the value proposition now? I know if suddenly you're selling to someone in the back seat of a vehicle, what does it mean, to get a great experience when you're going from A to B? And so I think that drives new innovation, new opportunities. Maybe there's new entertainment opportunities in a vehicle, right? Or new productivity opportunities.
And the connectivity and the IoT side of the connected car, it just opens up a whole new set of both technical challenges, but also kind of business and economic opportunities for those organisations, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think IoT is probably one of the most inappropriately named pieces of technology that exists, right? Because it's really talking about what it is, but not necessarily what it does. It really comes down to what is the experience that a customer would like to have, that businesses, that organisations would like to have, or what they'd like to get out of it. The IoT is really about the collection of data and providing a response out there in the field. Data is that true intersection between technology and business. And what's in the data really does matter. But once you have information on people, you've now got, considerations about the way that you work with that data from a policy perspective, like government policies, compliance, privacy, that, the community, they've got some sort of a stake in that.
So I think you're right. The compliance and the regulations, certainly for government organisations, it's critical that base layer of secure by default is there. But equally, government regulations and controls change, and you need to have that adaptability to be able to adjust as the compliance and regulatory landscape adjusts. I think combining the regulatory environment and the cloud, it's powerful because you can still create that framework that allows them to adapt and adjust. We can bring in the blueprints and the templates and the guardrails that are industry or framework aligned to ensure that customers can continue to innovate, but within that safety net and the guardrails that need to exist.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And I think this is where cloud actually shines best, right? And so the ability now for cloud to containerize the services that hold, that have all that compliance and place it in not only in Microsoft Azure, but also in Fujitsu's data centers and also within customers' data centers, or even out in the field, is really, really powerful.
We've almost gone full circle, haven't we? We've gone from centralized compute in customer data center or customer field locations through to cloud being more centralized, and then it's coming back the other way. And so that combination of, my organization needs to be more responsive at the front line. I need the power underneath it to couple that and give my staff at those locations, or my sensors, or my remote devices. That's where the kind of front line of their business is, and they need support there.
I think a lot of people think of cloud as a place. The maturing view of cloud is that it isn't actually a place. Cloud is an approach to managing your technology. So it's an approach to looking at the types of things an organization needs to achieve, that it wants to achieve, and the challenges that it's got to overcome. It really comes down to let's have a conversation around what your business problems are first. Business challenges are what you want to do, and then let's open up the box of cool tech to play.
Completely right, and that brings up more challenges as well, right? So you've got more distribution, you've got more cloud-like computing or cloud-like approaches, but in many different areas, maybe in different vendor platforms or different technology stacks, whether you're on, Stack or on Azure or a different partner cloud. The governance layer then brings more value. The visibility, the ability to join data sets together, the ability to visualize things and make decisions better, the ability to deploy your governance, your policies, your processes across that distributed landscape and have that fabric of your organization to be supported in things like whether it's Arc or whether it's things like Sentinel, when we can roll Sentinel out and get that security visibility across so many different locations. I think that's the level where the value becomes more important, because without it you have silos of data, silos of connectivity, but you're not bringing it together to support the transformation that an organization needs.
If you look at what the organization is trying to achieve, what are their big rocks that they're trying to overcome? That's definitely something that will be important down the track, but they can't achieve that right now. You can't see that impact quickly. But in the meantime, have a look at what is in there right now, especially things that are really, really close to the challenges that they have operationally, or the efficiencies, their customer's customer as well. And so that's their very short-term, easy wins that they can have, whilst it's a perform and transform type response there. You can run at two speeds of the rest of the organization whilst doing some new innovative stuff at the same time.
I think some of the strength that I've seen in our recent engagements is when we couple the kind of awesome tech that you guys bring and some of those more service process focused solutions that Fujitsu has on top, like Springboard, for example, where we can stand up a new fully governed environment with the right guardrails in place within hours, rather than potentially days or weeks or months as it used to take in the past. So Dean, that was great. I really appreciate your time coming in and having that conversation.